Hi, ladies. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, gentlemen, as well. You never know. Thank you so much for clicking, and it's good to have you back. If you're a new, the first time, on the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. All right, so this video today, I want to talk about carbon monoxide. So it's a gas, carbon monoxide gas, one of the gases we have on planet Earth. Um, have you heard of it before? Is this something that you've heard of? We'll go into it today and go into what does carbon monoxide got to do with pregnancy? What's going on here? Stay tuned and you will find out. Thank you. Welcome back. So, what is carbon monoxide? And what has that got to do with pregnancy? Why are we bothered about carbon monoxide levels in a pregnant woman? And we look also into when we see a pregnant woman for our clinical appointment, what do we do? How do we check for this carbon monoxide exposure? And what levels are we looking at? What is safe and what is unsafe? And how do we actually carry out the test? And then what happens afterwards? If we have a high level of carbon monoxide exposure, what do we do? What referrals do we make? All right, so let's start with what is carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is a odorless, so you can't smell it. It's an odorless gas. You can't see it as well. You can't taste it as well. It's very tasteless. And it's slightly less dense than air. So if it's in the environment, you would know. And you probably might have heard of carbon monoxide poisoning. So this is where people who have breathed in carbon monoxide at excessive levels. So they start to get symptoms like headache, dizziness, feeling sick, weak, confusion, chest muscle pain. And that's when someone might go, hold on. I think we have a leakage somewhere. So carbon monoxide gas can be, so that's what's called carbon monoxide poisoning. You can have carbon monoxide gas coming out of your boiler at home. So if you have boilers that you use at home to heat your house up, if you have gas, appliances like your cooker, your heater, all of those things, they can, if they go faulty, they can start leaking gas into the house. And because it's odorless, it's tasteless, and all of these other things, people don't know. They can't even tell until you start having all these symptoms. So, high readings can happen in non-smokers, which is coming out of these boilers and the cookers and the heaters when they go faulty. So every time we see a pregnant woman for our antenatal appointments, we will get her to do a carbon monoxide breath test. So if she's already a smoker, then already smoking itself gives her exposure to carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide, we don't like it because with pregnancy, carbon monoxide deprives the lady and her baby of the vital oxygen that she needs, increases the risk of miscarriages, stillbirth, and all sorts of things. So when she does the test, the way it works, we have a handheld machine. It's like a carbon monoxide monitor. It measures carbon monoxide in parts per million, ppm. Don't worry about that, just just the unit. A high reading is anything 4 and above, 4 ppm and above. If we get 4 and above, we refer her for specialist support. If she says, hey, I smoke, okay, that's great. So we can directly send her to smoking cessation services within maternity. The GP also have those things as well. In the hospital, we have a lot of these services set up to support our mummies or even anybody in general. If you ever have to come across doing a carbon monoxide breath test and your results are alarming, then definitely, get in touch with one of these services. So a high reading also tells us that there is more carbon monoxide in her blood than oxygen. And it means that this baby is having slow growth. Because the funny thing with the hemoglobin in our blood, which is the thing, the thing that carries oxygen everywhere to your cells, from the top of your head to the sole of your feet. If you have carbon monoxide in your blood, rather than clinging to oxygen and taking oxygen everywhere for you and me, it doesn't do that. It has a high affinity, a higher affinity. So it's likely to pick up carbon monoxide than pick up oxygen when you breathe, when you breathe it in. So then the whole of your body, including baby, is getting more CO than O2. So we would like some oxygen. O2 is what we prefer. But if there's a lot of carbon monoxide inside of you, that's all that baby is going to be getting. So it's definitely a test that we do every time, or at least 4 times, all throughout the pregnancy, when we see our mummies. That's what we do. So what levels do we act on if we say, oh wow, this is high or this is not high? So depending on the parts of the country where you live in. So we all know in every country we have cities where you've got the bus, you've got the cars, you've got, train stations, all the car fumes. That is another source of carbon monoxide. Everything coming out of the exhaust pipe, not great. We have things like fireworks. We've got to be careful with fireworks. That's smoke. You can still have it as well. And then I've got a story I'm going to share as well. A real life story, I kid you not. Of a carbon monoxide test that I did with one of my clients, and she had a surprisingly high reading from a source that they didn't expect it would come from there, but it did. I'll go into that in a minute. So so these things are things to definitely keep an eye on. If we get a level of 4 ppm or higher, we send her to be seen by a specialist for support with stopping smoking. Or if she's a non-smoker, then we say, hey, check out your boiler at home, your cooker, your heater. Get specialists to come in to make sure we're not having any leakage of gas. And that's why, by the way, a lot of people have the carbon monoxide alarm installed at home, so that you can hear the alarm, because it picks up that, oh, there is leakage of gas, so that you and your family can be safe. So that's one of the home safety precaution that is done to make sure at home you're breathing in safe air.